Hello dear friends, today I want to show you that how can we run the SD GCM tool version 1.0. Okay, one of the essential points before we want to run this tool, it's about the input format of data. The first tab is about input data. Okay, if you want to open data, you should click Browse File. In Browse File, in this menu, you can see the different version of format that you can upload as the input file, XLSX, XLS, CSV, and text. Okay, but we want to know that the features of the input file. As an example, I want to show you in XLSX format that it has different columns with a started for example 1979. It depends on your data. In this sample, this data is started from 1979 up to in this sample up to, for example, this one 2016. Be careful that this data is started from 1979 up to 2016, that there isn't any data after this. Okay, it should be null. And another point is be careful that in every cell should have data. So before you want to use SDGCM tool, you should prepare this input file for your input data. Okay, I back to the file, to the tool here. So I want to browse my data as an input format. For example, this one. Okay, I select it, and as well I open it in my tool. Okay, in this menu you can see your data, as for example the first one related to your sheet in that file that you browse it. For example, this one is my intent data. I select it. The another tab here is related the format of date. For example, since my input data like this format, so I should click this one. If it should be, for example, in another format like this one or blah blah blah, be careful for select the related format. So I should click this one. Okay, another point is related to a station name of your sample. For example, in this sample, I want to select my station with name of Mashhad. Okay, I click the name. It depends on you. You can click just, for example, write M, X, everything that you want. Okay, for latitude, I want to click the intent point of that station that I want to downscale the data. For example, in this sample, like this one, it depends on your station. And for longitude is, for example, 59.63. Okay. In another tab, you can see here the unit of the variable that you want to downscale it. In this sample, I want to show you how can we downscale precipitation. So my data, my input data is in millimeter in days. So I should click this one. Pay attention that our data should be in this format. So if your input data has another format, please convert them in this specified format. So for precipitation should be, for example, millimeter or hour or like another one. In another version, in improved version, we extended this unit, but in this version of SDGCM, that version 1.0, we have just this format. So I click millimeter up with day. Okay, and after that we should select this, the header of the data. The first one is related to date. Okay, I want to downscale the rain file, so I don't need another one, the other, for example, variables such as humidity, maximum temperature, minimum temperature, blah blah blah. Okay, so I just click this one, your variable. I mean that it's related to precipitation data. Okay, so everything is finished in this screen, and now I should click load data. Okay, after I click this, we can immediately face with this a window, with a small window, data loaded. When you see this message, everything is okay and all the data captured in this tool. Okay, I click OK. So another panel here is related to historical data and as well related to RCP data in CMAP5 data. Okay, so since my variable is precipitation, I should click PR as this CMAP5 data, that all of them in PR format. So I click I write it here PR. So at the end I should click here browse all files, this button. Okay, so you should find your intent model. In this sample I wanna use Empirical as a CMAP5 models. It depends on your intent, so maybe you want to use another model. It depends on your selections, but in this sample I want to select Empirical. So I click in this step I should select historical and as well RCP data. Be careful that your data should be continuously. I mean that, for example, in this sample, it started from 1918 up to, for example, 2012. It depends on your model. But the data should be continuously. There isn't any, I mean that missed data or gap between the dates. So for the historical data, I should select this one. Okay, up to this historical data. As well, I should upload the RCP data for future data. Okay, all right. See here, it's for example started 2010 up to 2100. Okay, so I don't want to upload all of them. So I want to, for example, in this sample, I just select these up to 2039. It depends on your sample, on your work, but here I want to show you up to 2093. Okay, all the thing is done, and I should click open. At this step, I should notice to you that this process, it depends on the ability of your systems. For example, if your system just have, for example, 5 core, it's maybe around 2 minutes or maybe further than this. So don't worry about that because we need more time to load this data in our system. As well, so this time is maybe consuming around maybe 2 or 3 times. So I prefer to stop this process, and after that I describe to you and continue the format. Okay, for this system it takes around maybe 4 minutes, so don't worry about for stopping this because as I told you before, it depends on the ability of your system. Okay, after that you see this message bar, that it's maybe this message window that it asks you, for example, do you want to override this time? You should select no, because you don't need to overlap the data. As well for the 3 file, for the second file, and as well for the third file. Okay, after this process, you need more time for see the other window. So we should be patient here to see another window for loaded the data. After 2 minutes more or less than this, you can see this message that the precipitation data is loaded from 1980 up to 1939. Okay, I click OK, and everything is now finished. If you want to show, for example, click this icon, you can show the data of that file, and as well if you click show log, you can see one of the features of your file data. For example, with this one, you can see, for example, from 1980 up to the end, 2039, and as well in daily format. So if you want to, for example, make the data in monthly summation, you can click this one and see this data convert to monthly, and your data convert in monthly format like this one for the period that you select. If you want to export them to Excel file, you can click this button and see the other things. Okay, this one is finished, and as I told you before, if you click show log, you can see some of the information about your CM5 model, MIRC5, and the others information like the things that you see here. I click back, and now it's finished to go to second process. I'm in that second step where the evaluation step. I click evaluation tab for evaluation process. As you know, when we want to downscale our data, we have two process after upload the data. The first phase after that is evaluation, and the other one is downscale. So in this step, we want to evaluation our data. There is several points related to a step. I prefer show you our website here. In our website, we put some the tips related to help of this SD GCM format. And at the end of this page, you can see some of attention and tips related to this version. One of them is, the important tip is related to, for example, if you want to use different models of CM5 in this version of SD GCM, we use many of models. We can download many of, downscale many of models of CM5 here, but there are some limitations and exceptions here, such as, for example, gem, one of the model that it hasn't a calendar day with 365. So this format of this version of tool work with 365 with loop years. So pay attention to this format. But in the develop tool, in the newest version, we can use different models with different options, and we develop and solve one of the limitations in this format. So before you want to use this tool, pay attention to these tips and review all of them. It is essential for you to know them. Okay, here, for a station period, as you upload the sample here, the data is started in 1979 up to 2016. So if you want to limit this one, you can do that, but it is better to take this tip in your mind, that it's better the end date, the end year, it's better as the same in a station period with historical period. As you know, the historical period have data up to 2012. So it is better to limit this date up to 2012 as well. Also, another tab related to predicted period, omitted this here, because if you read the papers related to downscaling methods, it should be all of them use in their equations station data and historical data. So we use this point here. So after selected the period of the data, you should select the downscaling method. At this step, we don't know which of them is good for us, which of them has the highest criteria, efficiency criteria, the best one. So we should evaluate them, and after that we can decide which one is better for us. So we have three active methods here: delta method, a quantile map method, and quantile map method here. I start with delta method. After I select the delta method, I click downscale, and after click downscale, you can see data downscale in a while, very soon. Okay, if I want to show our data, I can click view data and see the data. And if I want to make a comparison with my historical data and as well observation data, I click set for comparison. And you can see here some of the comparison evaluations such as MAE, Pearson test, Spearman test, Nash-Sutcliffe, or maybe RMSE here. Okay, the data sent to this table, and you can see the result of these efficiency criteria here. So if you want to, for example, continue for make a comparison, you can also click, for example, a quantile map. I click quantile map and then downscale. Also, the process was done for this quantile map method. Okay, and sent for comparison and make comparison as well here. I can see them. If I want to show them in the table, I can click, for example, quantile map, and I can see the result here. If I want to show, for example, observation data, I can click it, and it is a good visualization for show, for example, the difference between observation and historical data here. Okay, if I want to review the result of the test, I can see here that, for example, the delta method have a good Nash-Sutcliffe, whereas this one, and as well a better RMSE test, like in comparison with quantile map. I know that if I want to, because I saw the result before, if I click here, at the end, we can see that the delta method in this sample for this station with Merck 5 model is the best one. So I can just click delta method and select it for this for the last the steps. So everything is done here. If you want to save this figure for your papers or maybe for reports, you can click this tab for save this picture as every format that you want to use in these reports and the other. The last icon and the last step should be downscale, and I click downscale tab to go to another step, the last step. Okay, you can see different tabs here for starting the downscaling period. Okay, in this panel, you should set the period of the time for three formats of data. The first one related to the observation period, the second one is related to historical period, and the last one is related to the predicted period. Okay, be careful in this step, because if you made a mistake for setting the period of the year, you don't get a good result at the end. So as you remember, our station data, the observation data, is started from 1979 up to 2016. And for the historical data and predicted data, it's better to see again this file that the historical data in Merck 5 model is started from 1918 up to 2012, and the period for the predicted data is started from 2010 up to 2100. But I upload just up to 2039. So I should select this start and the end for this start and the end step here. So the first one is okay. If you want to limit this one up to 2012, it may be reasonable because the historical period up to this one. But if you want to extend it up to 2016, you can do this. It depends on your selection. And the historical data should be started from as I showed you before in Mirror 5. It started in 1918 up to 2012, but in different models, as I reviewed before, for example, in Ken model, all of them limited 2010 or maybe 2005. It depends on your model, so pay attention to this point. And for the predicted period, it started from 2010, I should select 2010, up to 2039. Okay, this process is set here, and so I should select the method. As you remember in the previous step, we decided that delta method is the best one. So I start with delta method for downscaling method. So I should click this button, downscale, and immediately you can see this one. Very very soon you can see your data is downscaled at this step. We face with this window, data is downscaled. Okay, thanks, as finished. And if you want to show your data in this panel as a graph, you can, for example, click this one, plot observation data, as it started like this, 1979 up to 2016. And as well, if you want to click plot downscale data, you can as well see. If you want to see both of them with each other, you can click both of them. If you want to for example, save this fig, you can do this with every format that you want to use this figure in your report and see some of the reports, for example, the start period and as well the end period of your time. And if you want to see the data as for example in a table, you can click this button, view data, and as well you can see all the data and click, for example, use summation and the other things like this one. It is, as you can see here, it is started, it is in daily format. If you want to convert, I mean that you can convert this data to monthly summation and like previews that I showed you before. Okay, if you want to use, for example, quantile map or maybe quantile map, you can do the same. Okay, at the end, I invite you to subscribe our channel, the channel of AgriMassaf in YouTube, for knowing about our new software, new videos, and also if you want to use this tool, you can go to our web page and order this tool. By the way, please pay attention. Before starting this tool, it is better to view this video and as well these attention points here. Have a nice day.